Hello, my name is Pavel and welcome back to my channel. Before I start this video, I need to apologize that the background in this video is different. Again, every single video that I make, the background of my videos changes, and it's because I can't find one that I'm comfortable in and that looks good. So I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. Anyway, today I'm going to be watching Paranormal Activity, the next of kin. And you're probably like, why are you watching Paranormal Activity? And why did it? Okay, that was awful. Let's pretend I didn't do an awful British accent, and I'll answer that awfully acted question by answering. Okay. The reason I'm watching the newest Paranormal Activity is because last week I made a video where I watched Paranormal Activity for the first time since like 2009 or 8. I don't really remember. But anyway, the entire point of that video was for me to reflect on a movie that I was so scared of in my childhood. And in that video, I realized that they're still making these goddamn movies. There's been like 6 of them. They're still making these Paranormal Activity movies. So before you watch this video, definitely go check out the other one, because I kind of give a lot more information and context as to why I loved Paranormal Activity so much. But I'll quickly fill you in. I grew up watching Paranormal Activity movies, and I went to see it with my mum in the cinema, and it was just like this relationship thing that I had, and I was just absolutely terrified of Paranormal Activity. And now, when I watched it last week, I was not terrified, and I just had this idea, why do I not watch the one from 2021? Because I don't have high hopes for it at all. But today, I'm feeling a little bit crazy. You know me. Crazy man. I've already watched the movie for today's video, because usually I speak about it, give my predictions and all of that sort of stuff, but no, not today. I'm just too crazy. Today I've already watched the movie that I'm going to be speaking about, and I have so many thoughts about it. If you do not know, POV horror movies are my favorite type of movies of all time, and I know they are not good. There's a long history, well, not super long, there's a history of these movies just being terrible, but I don't know why. I just really love these movies, and it's kind of like a guilty pleasure of mine, and if there's ever a POV horror movie that I can watch, I will always watch it. And I was excited to watch this movie. My expectations were that it would not be as good, because I didn't find the first one to be that good. So surely after like 6 movies, it wasn't going to get any better. And you know what? Before I kind of get into the story about everything, this movie was not bad at all. Shocker. Who would have expected that? And honestly, it wasn't me. I was expecting some boring ass like 90-minute movie, and it wasn't. It was fine. But before I go speaking about this movie, let me read you the synopsis of Paranormal Activity, the next of kin. Margot travels to a farm along with her friends and a relative to learn more about her mother, who is a member of the Amish community, but she soon experiences strange events, intriguing her further. That is what this movie is about. And the first thing that I noticed about this movie is that it is not connected to the other Paranormal Activity movies at all. There's no proper relationship. It's just kind of like they made a horror movie and they were like, how the fuck do we advertise this one? And they stuck the title on it. And they were like, yeah, fuck it, it's a Paranormal Activity movie, because it's kind of filmed in a POV style. And that is a big issue that I have with this movie. Okay, so POV. Point of view. We're meant to see it as if you're seeing me. We're walking around and whatever. Paranormal Activity is a POV movie. This fucking movie just jumps between form so much. Sometimes we get POV and then I'm like, ooh, okay, I kind of like this. And then it just jumps to like different shots. And I'm like, are we going for a POV movie? Are we not going for a POV movie? I cannot speaky. That is one thing that I noticed throughout this movie and annoyed me so much. And another thing that annoyed me, and believe me, I promise I'm not going to be talking too much shit about this movie, because I actually have a good few positives I want to say about this thing, but let me speak about some negatives. This movie is filmed in such high quality, and I've never seen a POV fucking horror movie filmed in such high quality. What is this about? I know it's so picky, but it's weird. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It just looks so sharp. But this brings me to a compliment about this movie, is that this movie looks really good. It is graded and is edited really beautifully. There's so many shots throughout this movie that I was like, damn, this looks so fucking good. Compared to the first movie, a massive step up. The form, not so much, but the visuals, I'll give it that. It looked good. Honestly, I'm impressed that they're still carrying on with this Paranormal Activity franchise, and I know why they're doing it. Obviously, people know the name. They're going to go watch these movies. And I think there's always going to be an audience for horror movies, regardless if they're good or bad. And I felt like this movie, this is where the compliments come in. I felt like the story in this movie was a lot more engaging than the 2007 movie, because I don't know, I just felt like there's so much more depth to the characters, to the storyline. And initially I was very skeptical. I was like, oh my god, we're going to go to this farm, it's going to be very generic. And don't get me wrong, this was a very generic storyline. I could predict everything that was going to happen about 40 minutes from the end of the movie, and I was right. But that doesn't take away from the enjoyment of this movie. It was a good time. The story was engaging. The characters were a little bit annoying most of the time because they kept going places they weren't meant to. And I know it's a movie, but they were like, if I had these people as guests, I would fucking kick them out. And you know what, there's reasons why they don't kick out, blah, 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 whatever. But if I had them as guests, I would kick them out because they're really, really irritating at times. But the story is good. I really enjoyed it. And there's so many layers and so many locations that you don't really expect that this movie would have. And it just, like, there's this one scene with a tunnel thing, and it is really creepy. It's quite terrifying. And I was watching it and I was like, damn, I'm kind of scared. I was holding onto my pillow and I was like, damn, well done, Paranormal Activity, because the first movie did not have me terrified at all. And I know it makes sense. Like, it's been like 15 years, whatever, how many ever years. I have an English degree, not a maths degree, so leave me be. But obviously the first one wasn't going to be as scary because it's 2023 and the movie came out in 2007. This movie came out in 2021. It's obviously going to be a lot more contemporary and terrifying, and it was. Obviously, this movie relies on a lot of jump scares, and every time there's a jump scare, you get this like awful sound. Like, the sound is so loud and it's in your face, and it's obviously meant to like kind of like enhance the jump scare. And you know my opinions on jump scares. I don't really like them. And I don't know if I don't like them because they're annoying, or I don't like them because I generally jump most of the time. And if we count the amount of times I got scared in this movie compared to the first one, there's a big difference. Probably like 5 or 6 times throughout this movie I was like, ooh. So well done to this movie. Like, whenever I read some reviews, everybody was like, it's so boring, it's so bad, it's terrible. And it's not terrible. It is just a generic horror movie that has a Paranormal Activity title attached to it. And you know, after like 5 movies, 6 movies, whatever it's been, they're doing good. I know I've said that multiple times, but they are doing good, trust me. But the first movie felt like it was doing something new. It had this tiny budget, and it felt like it was like kind of making the genre more fresh. It was just giving it that ooh. But this movie obviously is not. This movie just feels like a very typical horror movie, and it does absolutely nothing. And realistically, by this evening, by the time I go to bed, especially if I watch something else today, I'm going to forget about this movie. But the first Paranormal Activity has been in my mind since I've been like 10 years of age, and it still lives with me because I remember the thoughts I had whenever I was a kid in bed, being terrified that I was going to see a ghost. And here's a fun story for you. Once, when I had emo hair, and this is important, I was in bed and I was on my phone, and it was really late and it was really quiet, and I have just watched, I think it was like the second Paranormal Activity movie, and I thought I saw something across the hall running across, and I was terrified. I was so scared, and I remember having goosebumps and I wanted to cry. Turns out, because it happened again, it was my emo hair going past my eyes, and I didn't realize, and I almost shit myself. And now I look back on it with, oh, it's awful. It's so cringy, but it's a good story to tell, because imagine being such an emo that you get scared of your own emo hair. That's what the first Paranormal Activity did to me. I was scared of my own hair, and this movie, I'm just gonna forget about it. And you know, the structure of this movie is quite repetitive, and you can tell that they were just trying to fill some space loads of times, because they're kind of like making this documentary about the Amish community, and they're trying to find out, you know, about her past and about her family. But then they're like, oh, let's zoom into some pigs. Ooh, pig's ass. And they just walk around random places, and they're just like, oh, zoom in, let's talk. And one thing that is super annoying, I know I've mentioned it already, but I think I need to re-emphasize the fact that it just jumps from POV to non-POV to POV to non-POV, and I feel like that is such a major drawback for this movie, because it just takes you out of the movie so much. Like, POV feels so personal. You feel like you're with the character. You feel like you're sharing their thoughts. And at moments, you're like, oh, okay, I'm quite invested. It's like, boom, documentary. They have like a random documentary within the movie. And you're like, dude, did we really need all this? Just felt like this movie was giving you information that you didn't really need. And it was an hour and 40 minutes. And I feel like this movie could have worked super, super well if it was under 90 minutes. And I don't know if that's me just, complimenting 90-minute movies because I adore them, or if it's just me trying to be somewhat critical of this movie, because I feel like that was a major drawback. It just felt like it was super generic. There was nothing new. And I know I've said that many times, but that's okay. I thought I was going to be bashing on this movie in this video. I thought I was going to have so many negative things to say before I watched it. But no, I actually don't. I actually had such a good time with... Okay, such a good time isn't... Let me rephrase that. I had a good time with this movie. I was quite scared. There was times I jumped. I was quite invested in the story. I found the characters to be a little bit annoying, and some of the acting was a bit questionable. And some things felt a little bit outdated, and then this movie had a lot of COVID references, but then there's one scene where they're on the computer researching something online, and it just looked like the most outdated browser ever. And then there's sometimes scenes where you feel like you need more, and they just could have shown like they're speaking to a postman, and the postman's like, yeah, blank, I'm not going to tell you what he says because it's going to spoil the movie, and they just cut it out. Why are you cutting out scenes that are actually important, but then keeping in fucking scenes of pigs? I don't care about these pigs. I want to get more information. I want to get more background. Like, I felt like I left this movie and I didn't really know fully what happened to her family, and I wanted to know more. And I know it touches on it, and obviously it explains it, but I just feel like it could have done more by expanding set scenes. I can't really tell you without spoiling it, but are you really going to go watch the newest Paranormal Activity movie in 2023? I did. You could. Anyway, I think that's everything that I have to say about this movie. I had a good time. How many times have I said I had a good time? A lot of times, but I had a good time. Again, have you seen the new Paranormal Activity movie? What did you think about it? Were you surprised with it? Were you surprised with the movie? Because I was, if you can't tell. And yeah, this was fun. I like sitting down, just talking about movies. Recently, life has been super hectic because I have 3 months left of my degree, and it is getting stressful. So just being able to sit down and switch off and watch a mid-horror movie and just speak about it is like what I have been absolutely loving. And I'm going to continue doing that until I can make bigger videos. So if you have any ideas for videos or anything, please let me know. And let me know if you watch this movie. Just let me know whatever you want to let me know. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.